What is going on YouTube? This is Mario back in another video. So in this video I want to talk about my journey, following God. I know I kind of done videos where I told you guys my testimony about when I got saved and how difficult the process of living a saved life. But I kind of want to go in this video. I kind of want to go more in depth with it. Whereas I'm going to talk about when I got saved, when I got saved, the churches, my ups, my downs, my struggles, all that stuff's gonna be in this video. So it's basically just think of it as a documentary, but just in a YouTube video. I'm also gonna post this on Facebook or whatever, any other social media platform I could post this on, because I feel like people need to hear my story. How am I, how am I like in my early 20s and like never smoked, never drank, never had sex before. Like how was I able to do that? And I just want to talk about that in this video, because if you once this video is over, I feel like you guys will understand not just me better, but understand God better. Understand that you can be young, you can live holy. It doesn't have to be an old person thing. It doesn't have to be your grandparents thing. You can do this when you're still in college, in high school, whatever. So, that being said, let the journey begin. I got saved, well, at 14, but I've always been in church. Like most people grew up in church. I grew up in church. In church in my life. But church was something I just did because everybody else in my family doing it. My mom was a church mother. I sang in the choir. My brother. Then we moved down here in North Carolina. We played. He's a drummer. I played the bongos and stuff like that, of that nature. So we was always involved in church. And like so. In our mind, we thought we was always saved, because when we grew up in church, they tell you you were automatically saved. When you grew up in church, you've been in church your life, you're involved in church, you might people might assume that you're a Christian, you have a relationship with God. But like I learned, when I got older, that being saved is more than just going to church. It's actually having a deeper relationship with God, and that's something that's something that I always kind of wanted to have, because I feel like as much as as much as I like the church, I knew that it had to be something more than just going to church, because nobody really talked about like reading the word daily. Nobody really told me about like fasting and praying. Like it was just something it was just tradition. It was just something you did at church. It was just something that was like practice, like on a regular basis. It was just, I'm a Christian, that's it. And so what kind of led me to Christ was I had a discussion with this at this church in my area. We were talking about music, secular music, and he was talking about secular music. How secular music, a lot of it glorifies Satan, because there's no lyrics, or content. It's like synth, and like when I first heard that, I was like, no way, yeah, there's some, because this was time Illuminati stuff was coming out, and like you just wondering, man, this artist is so to the devil, this, that, and the other, and then she kind of broke it down and said, well, all of them are kind of glorifying the devil in a way, because they all glorify sin, and that kind of really hit me. I was like, what? Like nobody ever told me that, because I just thought, just music, nobody really told me that, the lyrical content is matters, the lyrical content matters, because when you're a kid, you just think that, oh, all music is entertainment. So it was about a week, I kind of wrestled with it for a while, and then about a week later, that's when I just like, that's when one day I started like reading the Bible, and then I just randomly read the word. It was a Blue Bible, the New Testament Bible in my room. And I just started reading it, and then after I started reading, that's when I just like gave up like all the secular music I was listening to. I started watching certain TV shows, and I was just like, man, I want to know Jesus. And that's when my journey like started. So I was like 14 and a half. I was in ninth grade. It was a struggle, but as I go on a little later on the video, I'm gonna tell you guys about some of the struggles that I've dealt with while I was, in my earlier stages in Christ, and stuff that I still kind of go through to this day. But I'm still growing. I still got a long way to go. But I'm glad that now that I've been saved long enough, I could tell my testimony to other young people. What is it like being a born again Christian versus being a churchgoer? Oh man, I faced a lot of challenges as a Christian, especially considering how young I was at the time. I was 14 when I got saved, so there were a lot of peer pressure I gone through. Um, a lot of kids, you know, when I first got saved, when I first got like really serious about God, people was like, "Oh, you're not saved. You're not a Christian." Because I was never, like I was never the type of person who would just, like pronounce, my, I was another person who says, "Oh, I go to church, such and such." I'll sing songs like everybody, other kids were doing, other church kids were doing, and being in the South, being a Bible Belt, a lot of kids, grew up in church, a lot of kids go to church. Um, but like, so being a Christian just meant that you just went to church, like I mentioned in the, and when I got saved, question, I kind of realized that that a lot of kids don't really know that there's a difference in like being a churchgoer versus being like an actual born again Christian. So and a lot of times people kids peer pressure me to like smoking weed or you know or or having sex or doing all this stuff or cursing like all this other stuff that that regular teenagers would do. But like I said, no, I don't do that. I don't do that stuff no more. And they thought I was weird. They thought I was crazy. And like I was something else been like kind of a theme throughout my 7 years of following Jesus, and also just with my family members as well, because again like my family going to church was like everything. Like almost everybody in my family goes to church, so it was just something that we did. I mean, and we shout, we being saved in our family, being saved, at least how I grew up. I grew up Pentecostal. It was like shouting and speaking in tongues and all that stuff. If you get prophesying or singing or like having a good singing voice or you could play them or you're a musician, like it was mostly band theatrics. But those people who deal with stuff, a lot of times they were, they were, you know, they were, they had baby mama issues, baby daddy issues. They were, divorced or they had broken marriages, broken, families, and it was just like, you know, so like I didn't really have an example of like, somebody who's like really, deep in deep in the word. It was just, if you could do all this stuff, then you're a real Christian. So that was a challenge in itself. And so when I told my brother I got saved, my brother, he's like really to church. He's more into church than I was. And then he's like, "You're not saved. I'm more saved than you are." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And then he blast playing like Lil Wayne, playing like Drake songs, like playing like my Cat Jones or like Ty Tripp. He's like, "You're not Christian. Christian rap is lame." And and I and he didn't take me seriously. But like once he saw me, that I wasn't. Once he saw that, so that how me just watching sermons on YouTube and just stuff like that, and that I wasn't doing stuff that other kids were doing. He's like, "Oh wow, you really are Christian," So like it was just stuff like that I kind of dealt with. Even with my mom, even with my own mom, my mom, My mom, she kept, she raised us right. She raised make sure that we do the stuff other kids were doing. But even she was kind of like, what, like she didn't realize, she didn't think I was gonna take it so seriously, so young, and even she was kind of like, you need friends, you need to, go out more, and like a lot of kids, the kids that was around, I mean, were in church, kids that, that my brother hung out with, didn't go to church, they were in the world, they were, they weren't doing anything really bad yet, because we were still young kids, but like, the stuff they would say, the stuff they would do, and the stuff that we kind of talk about kind of made me feel uncomfortable. So, I kind of really I really couldn't explain to her because I want to feel like a weirdo. But she said, "Man, you need to stop being an Urkel. You need to stop being a lame." And it was just like, it was just so much like, it was just so much pressure on like both sides, and like, what kind of kept me going was like, it was still like Lecrae, it was still like, reading, watching sermons, watching like TV Jakes and stuff like that. That kind of like kept me going, as I, continued on my walk and also reading the word daily. So it was a lot, pushing, it was a lot of pulling, you know, on my end. I didn't really have nobody around me to like, I really had nobody that I really like look up to that was just like super serious about God. Like you read the word daily, pray, fast consistently. Like it was, I didn't really have that in my life really. I had like church mothers who would like tell me about the word of God, but I didn't really have nobody like young, like nobody like my age really, like nobody like in 20s or 30s that could really help me. It was just like it was either, if you go to church, it was either like, it was either, I know I can't go off for tangents, but like, basically what I'm trying to say is that, if you went to church in my area, it was either because, you either like, you're, you're a kid, you're like under 18, or you're like over 60, there's something that your grandparents did, most 9 times out of 10. So, what I'm trying to say is that, I don't really have an example. I don't really have an example of being like young and ashamed. I just did it because, I wanted to please God. So that was, a challenge to this I faced. So what kept me following God at a young age, when I had all these obstacles against me. For one thing, it was, Christian music, just seeing other young people, you know, get excited about Christ, and like, and mainly it was like Reach Records and new music, Lecrae and Triple E and all of them. Like, I got into Christian rap, in 2011, right around the time I got saved, and it was just so different than what I was used to because, when I think of gospel music, I always think of like, singing, and you're just like, singing, and and like, singing about, oh, thank you, Jesus, love you, God, and there's nothing wrong with that, but like these guys talk about, their passion for God, they talk about their life story, they talk about, they talk about more, practical ways of how to like get deep in the word, and like that was just like really encouraging and really inspiring for me as a young person. They talk about like reading the Bible, they talk about praying, they talk about fasting, they talk about evangelizing. Like that really encouraged me. Seeing other young people get saved about God. Because again, I didn't have none of that. I mean, for me, being Christian, for me, being Christian was always about just going to church, and doing activities in church. But seeing these people, evangelizing, talking, you know, going on mission trips, and you know, and saying, and like saying they gonna stay, stay, pure to marriage, or say sexually pure marriage, and like that's really encouraging, especially that from a guy's side, because typically, in churches, black churches at least, we tend to be harder on the woman. But like on a guy, it's like, I mean, as long as you're not, doing drugs, I mean, as long as you're not selling drugs, you're straight. And so like, so when seeing guys talk about that, especially was just very encouraging for me, because I didn't really have that, again, I grew up with a single mom, so it was really encouraging seeing, young men be excited about God. Like these men are like really in 20s and 30s, and they just talk about, and they just talk about Jesus, and like they don't do it in like in a bougie way. They do it in like a realistic, human, I'm from the hood type of language, and like that's what really encouraged me, because I was never really a churchy person, like I like the church, I shout, I do all that stuff, other kids were doing. I wasn't really churchy. I wasn't that person who would be out there saying, "Oh, thank you, Jesus. Oh, Father." Like the other kids in my school do. So like just seeing that just made me more excited about the God. And then also it was also that where God has brought me from. Like looking back on my life, I was looking stuff like I already had odds against me from the time I was born. I was told I wasn't able to read, wasn't able to talk, wasn't able to live this long. You know, um, you know, um, I was going to do none of the stuff I'm doing now, and I was adopted at the age of 2, so having dealt with having dealt with all that at a early in my life, just showed me, that God had a big plan for me all along. Because for me to be this passionate about God so young just shows that, that God used the unqualified. God used the people who you wouldn't expect to amount to much. You wouldn't expect to, you know, oh that kid, oh that was a kid, he would never talk in class. Or that was a kid, he would always act cut up. He's doing what now? You will never expect that. So I'm just so grateful that God used me so young. Okay, so some downfalls that I face as a Christian, like I faced a lot of them, but like the biggest downfall I faced was last year. It was last year in 2014. 2014. I graduated high school. I moved to New York because I figured New York was gonna be it for me. It's gonna be the place. It felt like I was destined to come back there because my mom said she wanted me back there after I finished high school down here. I have family up there. Um, spoken word is a big thing up there, and he's super into poetry at that time. I've been writing poetry for like a few years at the point, so I figured if I went to New York, I could really like, get more exposure. And ended up not, and then my godmother's church is up there, which the church that I've been wanting to go for a long time. I've been going back to New York every summer, and I'm like, man, I love going to that church, and I felt like going to her church was like it for me, and it ended up not, and none of the stuff that I expected, and then it ended up, not being the way I wanted it to be. First of all, I was living with my cousin and my sister, because my mom left her old apartment up there in Queens, and my cousin was still living up there, but then my sister moved up there with her, and I ended up my sister and my niece were living up there with her, so I had to, I was living on their terms and not my own because I'm not the one doing, being on myself. So I was doing what they wanted me to do, and it was just like I couldn't really do anything. I had to go to this church or this church, one day my mom wanted me, my sister next day she wanted me, my cousin. It was just a mess, and I just really couldn't do what I wanted to do. And my godmother, she started going to the church that I was going to for the last 7 years. I've been going back to New York. She stopped going, for the summer, so like 6 7 years. Been going back to New York for the summer. She stopped going to that church, and then she ended up moving on to another church. And I was like, wow. I'm just like, what gives? So I felt like nothing was going the way I wanted to go. I ended up going to college I did want to go to. I was supposed to go to my cousin's college because she was a secretary over there, and she ended up and her LIU, which college she worked at, was being you know it was being stupid. So I ended up going to a college nearby, LIU, New York City College of Technology in downtown Brooklyn, and it ended up not, and it didn't have my major that I wanted to have. It didn't have my major, none of that stuff. And I just went there because it was close by, and I really enjoy it the way I thought I was going. I really have I really enjoy it. So and then being I was a state student, I didn't even have to pay the student loans because I moved back there. Like I left New York when I was in sixth grade. So if I would stay to high school, I would have to pay out I would pay in-state tuition. Because I moved back so young, I had to pay out-state tuition, and I didn't have to take the loan out because we could afford it. So I was like, man, it's not for me. I'm over here, having to, get yelled at all the time. I'm over here, I'm over here trying to, make everybody please everybody, and it just wasn't for me. So I ended up moving back here, in 2015, and I went to, RCC, and at first I was like, I don't want to be back here, but then as the years gone by, now I realized that okay, now is the reason why God put him at the Hamlet, you know. So yeah, that was one of my downfalls. The other downfall I faced was last year. Last year was just like a really tough, really just last spring. I'll say like because early last year, early 2017, I was like really the spoken word. I was like I finally get open mic gigs. I finally get to do spoken word, because for a long time I've been like I had no place to go, I didn't have no place where there was no spoken word. Like every time I asked people, you should do open mic night, but like nobody, nobody ever told me. I was saying you should do open mic, but nobody ever, called me or ever text me with open mic. It's never, it was no longevity behind it. It was just like once in a lifetime event. So I was like, okay, well, I just go, go somewhere where it's close by. I just go somewhere closer to Richmond County. Lumberton, outside the closest, town to where they was doing mics, on a consistent basis. So I was going there for a couple of times, but then but because I didn't have anybody to take me, I kind of really go there no more. So that kind of, hurt me. And then, um, and then around April of 2017, I met this lady who from Atlanta, and she was an author. She came from Atlanta to North Carolina. She to do a speech because she's a pastor. She's a public speaker. She's a spoken word artist. She has her own film production studio. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. She's like young and she's in her early 40s. And I was like, oh, wow, that's so cool. And she told me her testimony about how she was a teen mom, and she was into like prostitution and stuff like that. I thought, okay, wow, that's so cool. I didn't make up with her, but it turns out she was a con artist. So I couldn't really, so that was a fail. And then also last year, that's also when you know, I met this kid. She was just, I met this kid last year. He was a lot younger than I was, but there was something about him that just like, intrigued me. I mean, I was like, there's something about this kid that's different. So I talked to him, and he told me he had special needs, and I was like, okay, he's different. And then I said, oh wow, really? So did I, and so I met him, and we was like close. We was like good friends for like 2 months. We talked about our life stories, our personal life, and being socially awkward. And I was like, oh, he's pretty cool. And then 2 months later, his parents, I couldn't talk to him no more. And I was like, what? We was getting along so well, and I was like, it was just so heartbreaking to go through that because like I was never, like I've never been this close to anybody before like that. So that really hurt me. And then also, so like, so I was just like in a rut. I was like, oh yeah, and also, I thought I was gonna graduate last year, and I ended up not graduating because I didn't have no credits, and I thought I was, close to graduation, but I ended up having to stay there for another year, and I was like, dang, I was like, really, you know, so I was just going through a rough period of my life, and I just felt so like, just so frustrated because I feel like every time I'm going 2 steps forward, I'm going like 5 steps backwards, and it's just like so frustrating for me, and I just felt so, and I just felt so I just felt like so heartbroken, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna revenge this. So I did a poem, and I put it on posted on Facebook, which was, not the best. Which, in hindsight, I know that wasn't the best place for me, but I just felt like I need to let it out there. So I posted on Facebook. I blocked certain people from seeing it. And my cousin, I blocked her because I know my cousin, was gonna, see the post, but she had like multiple Facebook accounts, so I bought 2 of her accounts, but I didn't know she had. I didn't realize she had a third account, so she saw it. My mom, and she told my mom. My mom got mad at me. She was livid. She yelled at me for like 10 minutes. He said, "You ungrateful, this, you ungrateful, you know, you always want things too fast. You always want overnight success. Nothing comes overnight. Yeah." And I was kind of yelled at for like 10 minutes, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, what I do? Yeah, you ungrateful, yeah. I raised you, baby, yeah." And I was just like getting yelled at so much. And I was like, man, like I was just so tired of being alone. I was just so tired, like, I was just so tired of, I was just like so tired of, you know, of being stuck. I was so tired of being stagnant. It was just so annoying. And so around that time, that's when I was like, you know what, I'm just like, man, I've been following you for so long. I feel like I'm not going anywhere. And man, it just makes me cry to think about it because like, I went through so much, trying to be a good Christian, and, want to be young and ashamed, but nothing's going right in my life. I wasn't driving, I didn't have a license. I live in a small town. I just felt so stuck. I just felt so stuck, and that's when, me and Evan just like really just like got close. Like it was through that. It was just through that period in my life where me and Evan just like we just got to know each other, and he just like really encouraged me, and I was really thank God for him, like because yeah, because man, it was just so hard. Uh, just like so hard, man. Yeah. It was just like so hard, just being young and you have all these dreams, and it seemed like every time you want to go to this place, you always back here. So I'm just glad that because like me and Evan, like we were friends, but like we were never like super close. But then once I was like telling once I told him my struggles of being a young Christian, he just really encouraged me, and I was like, man, thank you God for him. But thank you so much because it was just so. Cause man, I did not mean to get. Man, I didn't mean to get this emotional, but like just everything I went through, just everything I went through. I just thank God for the people He put in my life. So, but yeah, I just want to let you guys, I just had to do this because I want to let you guys know that, I went through some stuff. Just because I was young, just because I was only 14, I went through some stuff, and I went through some stuff, and I'm not gonna apologize for it, for what I believe in, for what I stand for, because I know what God really knows. Because I know where God is coming from. Who encourages me? Evan, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I was tearing up. His cousin Cameron, I just met him, but his testimony is really encouraging. Kristen as well. I met her about a year ago, and she just really encourages me, and she really inspires me. How just young and passionate she is, and she just told me her testimony how she just was going through a lot in her family, and she just like really, encouraging me to keep going forward, and how she's like super passionate about God, and and how she was also a teenager following Jesus while she was going through a lot, and and Destiny, my friend Destiny, she also encourages me. She encourages me, keep writing, man, your poetry's good, God has a plan for you. Keep writing, and like, she really encourages me. Um, one of my teachers that I had from high school, Dr. Knotts, he encourages me as well. Um, so, those people encourages me a lot, and I'm just thankful for them being in my life because, again, I went through so much, and like being young and having a relationship with God is not easy, and I'm just thanking God for these people for, you know, encourages me, help me, not do anything, help me, keep things in perspective, and I really thank God for them. I got into poetry when I was 14, right before I got saved. It was like October 2010, and how I got into poetry was I was at a youth event, a youth empowerment service at a church, in my neighborhood, and it was a dude, he had dreads, he was a young dude. He talked about, he did a poem about him getting insight to the Lord, and I thought that was so dope. And I was like, man, I want to do something like that. And so, it was about like a month later when I just started writing about my life. About like not even a month, like 2 weeks later, I started writing about my life. Just about being a misfit, not fitting in anywhere. Kind of like your own world, and that's when ever since then, I just like started writing poetry in 2010. So um, when I got saved, in March of 2011, that's when I started writing my poems. All my poems came like God centric because I felt like, if I'm a poet, if I'm a Christian, my poetry should reflect, my love for Jesus, and I started writing poems about God, which a lot of it was, was kind of cheesy, at some points, but like, I was so passionate about God. I just want God to use my gift the best way. I just want to use my gift the best way I know how. And and as I gotten older, and as I got more close to God, my poems started to come more, detailed. It started to come more, more, I said, personal. I consider myself a psalmist like David, and I was writing poems about my struggles, about my pain, about my past, about the things I was dealing with. Like that was me. So poetry has definitely been an outlet for me, especially when I felt alone, especially when I felt like no one understood me. Poetry was like the only out I had. I thank God for that. I always, felt like, I always felt like, I always felt like our poetry could help a lot of people, and I'm glad to see that I'm seeing fruits of that. Like, when Cameron, shared his post, shared my video on Facebook, that I'm a Christian home. Like, that was really a blessing. He said he looks up to me, and like that really meant a lot to me. So, just hope that the poetry reaches more people, and I hope that these videos like this also reaches people. So, when it comes to young people, like a lot of times, young people feel like, oh, if I just go to church, I'm good. If I just, follow these simple rules of, you know, don't do drugs, don't have sex till marriage, or as long as I don't, as long as I be a good person, then I'm good. Like, they look at it as a rule book, as a moral checklist, rather than like actually a lifestyle. Like, it's not just something you do. It's not just something you call yourself. Like, it's actually a lifestyle. Actually, giving, you know, um, giving up the fleshly desires. Having, intentionally want to seek God, intentionally want to get close to God, like intentionally, like, listening to gospel music, listening to, sermons, like, like it has to be intentional. It can't just be something you do passively. You have to be intentional about it, and that's what messes up a lot of young people, is because they've been taught, that, oh, well, as long as I go to church, everything's gonna go good. As long as I'm as long as I, sing in a choir, or I'm a, I'm a praise dance, or I play an instrument, like I'm good, God loves me, I'm in God's hands, and like, and then when they get older, they feel like, well, that was me, that was me, when I was with my parents, I had to go to church. But now when you're older, they see, okay, well, I'm grown now, I can do whatever I want to do. You know, I'm grown now, I can do whatever I want to do. So when I get out there in the world, when going to church is no longer a quote unquote, rule. They just wild out, and they just, like, do drugs. They drink alcohol, and they have sex before they get married. I mean, like, you hear it all the time. Like, once young people go to college, they just, wild out. And one thing that really, kind of like helped me. One thing that kind of helped me do this video was that Cameron told me, um, that statistically speaking, a lot of young people between the age of 16 and 19, they don't have a relationship with God, while between the age of 16 and 19, they fall astray. And I'm seeing that all every day. Like, kids, like parents, they feel like the kids can't do no wrong, but yet then they found out, oh, why you know why you smoke in my house, or why you bring this girl in my house, or why you bring this dude in my house, why your grades is, you know why your grades ain't, the way it should be, and you gotta understand that it's not just about going to church. Not just, going to church should not just be a club. It's something. It's a lifestyle. Live for God. It's a lifestyle, and that's something that I really want to emphasize in my videos, because I see it happen all the time, and I'm glad that God using me to let people know that, hey, if you really a Christian, you should, you should really consider you should really be deep in your relationship with God. Why aren't you, you know, you should really consider deep in your relationship with God. You should consider, ordering, how do I say this word? But you should really, like, consider your friends, like who you hang out with, like what you do. Like, do you care that you messed up? Do you care that you're saying bad words? Do you care the fact that, you're sinning against God? Do you care the fact that when you mess with this girl, that she's, leading you astray? Like, do you care about your relationship with God that much? Or even in your word? Like, those things should be talked about, regarding young people. And like, I feel like, people need to hear this because so many people mess up, you know, because they feel like, if I just go to church, I'm good. And like, I need to let you know that, you go to church and still be, the devil goes to church. Like, the devil's all in the church. So it's not just about that. It's not just about you go to church. It's that fact that you have a relationship with God. That's a threat to the enemy. So, I mean, you could be a drug dealer go to church. You could be a prostitute go to church. You could be, I mean, you could be a devil worshiper and go to church. Like, I mean, come on now. Come on now. So let's, you gotta be real. You gotta be real to young people, right? You gotta let people know that. You gotta be real, because it's just so frustrating when I see, like, when I hear people say I'm a Christian, but they just don't act like it. So, yeah. So, I feel like if more people are taught to have a relationship with God, while they're young, while they're still, elementary school, they'll take God more seriously. And they won't just say I'm a Christian and then their life, totally, is totally against what they say out their mouth. So, yeah. Yeah, what do people get? What I want you to get is documentaries that, I'm a young man who loves God and who really just want people to get to know Christ better, and also just, be an example of, somebody who's not just saying I'm a Christian, but actually living like a Christian, who's actually acting like a Christian. Because again, like, so many people get mixed up saying that, oh, just because I go to church or just because my parents are Christian, therefore I'm a Christian. And like, I want people to see that, this is a lifestyle. This is something you can't just, this ain't, this ain't your grandma's religion, as what my pastor would say. You gotta have your own relationship with God, because we are all born to sin. We all, we all sin and come short of the glory of God. Romans 3:23. Like, you gotta be really serious about this thing. Like, if you say you're a Christian, like, do you want to know God? Like, do you care that, you sinning against God? Do you care that I talk about those who say they're Christians. Like, I'm talking about those people. Now, if you're just not saved, like, flat out, you know, um, like, you get saved, I'll pray for you when this video is over. But like, I really want to do this video for those who think that just because, I go to church, or just because my parents are Christians, because, I do this stuff in church, like, it's more to it than that. And that's why, those of us who are saved and those of us who are saved by God get so scrutinized, because we got to deal, because we already looked at as we looked at worldly us as weirdos because we don't smoke or drink. If you're, we don't smoke or drink, or and whatnot. We don't smoke, we get drunk or nothing like that. Um, you know, the church, like, have so much expectations of us because we said we sold out. We said we sold out for Jesus, so we're actually looked at as different, and then even the church kids, because the church kids, to them they just go to church and that's it. They don't expect, they just like, they just go to church, but they don't expect you to be like a preacher or anything like that. But when you get saved, it's like, oh, you're a preacher, oh, you're preaching at me, oh, what, you don't do this, or what, you can't do this, you're a Christian now. Whereas as a church kid, they say, oh, well, we all sin, we all sinners, nobody's perfect. But if you mess up, it's like a big deal. It's like, it's like the end of the world. It's like, it's like you lost faith in humanity. So like, I mean, I get it. That's why I want to do this video. So, because I was that, I wasn't I wasn't a preacher's kid or anything like that. But when I got saved, like I wanted to get involved. Like I wanted to be around church. I wanted to be around real Christians. I wanted to witness to people. I was, writing poems. I was, a deacon at my church. I was reading scripture. Like I was doing all this stuff. But they don't know that I was struggling inside. They don't know that, inside I was going through a lot. Inside I just felt lonely. You don't know how lonely it feels when you're young. That when you have when you're passionate about God, they think that your life is perfect. They think that, oh, you're perfect. You don't go through nothing. No, like we go through stuff. Like the enemy doesn't like the fact that we give us a lot. That's why we go. That's why you hear a lot of times. You know. That's why you hear a lot of times. People going through depression. You want people, commit, almost kill themselves, almost committing suicide because like the enemy does not want you to be a Christian. He does not want you to be sold out for Jesus. Like the enemy hates that. That's why I gotta let people know this stuff because like I was there. He doesn't care that you're young. He doesn't care the fact that you're anointed. He doesn't care about that fact. He doesn't care. He doesn't. And I gotta really like break it down because when it comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So I mean, really, I really gotta like let people know this stuff because like so many people are being misled and it's really annoying. So don't want to rant too long, but what I want people, what you want people to get is documentaries that I want people to understand that you could be young, you could be a Christian, but you could be young and live for God and like but expect trials, expect tribulations, but also expect God to really move in your life. Like God has really blessed me in my life, and I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful that I'm able to do things I'm doing right now because I would like if I get saved at the time I got saved, I probably wouldn't be where I am now. I probably would just be like every other college kid. I probably would just been partying and getting with girls and and smoking weed. That's what the kids in my school were doing. Like the kids in my school, they were doing that stuff like at 15 and 16. Like they were clubbing. They was sleeping with this person. Someone got pregnant. Like so. I thank God that God's kept me throughout my teenage years and into my young adult years. And I pray that God keeps you grounded. And I pray that for you guys who are watching this, for those who, you know, who want, those who want to be a relationship with God, I pray that, be blessed by this video. Although for those who, who, like I said earlier, who grew up in church, who know about God but don't really know God, I pray that you guys can really see the light and really see that, hey, that there is more to church than just, religion, that there's actually a lifestyle. Lord Jesus, thank you for helping me do this documentary. I pray this documentary blesses those who watch this. I pray this documentary touch those who is meant to be, touched. And I pray, God, that you really help people understand that, that this walk is not a joke, it's not a game, that this is real life. You gotta be, all the way in it, because the enemy does not care. He doesn't care that you're old, he doesn't care that you're young, he doesn't care that you're a preacher, he doesn't care that you're a musician, he doesn't care, about your title, he does not care about the fact that your parents were, Christians, he does not care. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy, and I pray that God, please, that my life can be, an example of how, you know, of how, of how a Christian should be. I'm not perfect by any stretch of imagination, by any means, but I want people to understand that being a Christian is more than just religion. It's more than just going to church every Sunday. It's more than just singing on a choir or any of the stuff that we do in church as kids. That is actually a lifestyle, and I really hope that, for those who don't know Jesus, who never, step foot in church, I pray that if they see this video, that they will, get touched by you, God. Because again, I say that I want this video to reach those who need meant to reach. Even though I may target this video for those who already have somewhat of an understanding of Christ, but I know that there's probably going to be somebody who is not into church, but they see me, they see I'm a young person, they see that I'm a young person and might want to check it out. They might say, oh wow, okay, so going to church is not just hooping and hollering, going to a black church is not just singing and just acting churchy, that you can actually be a human being and still serve Jesus. And I pray that I could get that message across. Even though I kind of started this video, even though I cried, halfway through the video, I pray that that somebody gets touched by this video. In Jesus' name, amen. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Hope you guys enjoy this video. I know this video, was a little bit emotional, but I hope you guys get the message what I'm trying to sit across, that, being a Christian is more than just, going to church again. I have to keep stressing that, because I want to see more young people have a deeper relationship with God. I want to see more of that, because the world, like the world has us our life marked. The world says, we're not going, we're a lost generation. There's no hope for us. We just too into our cell phones. We're too into our smartphones. You know, Christianity is a dying breed in America. I pray this video bring out some young and bold, believers. And not just, not only just being young in age. I'm talking about young in spirit, because I know there's some older people who were saved 20 years ago, but they kind of fell out of love for God. They backslided, and now they're not in church no more. Like, I pray that that's really reach those people as well. They see somebody young and passionate, and they don't just see me. They don't just like, oh man, he's young, so he has time. They see that, man, he makes mistakes too. Oh, he messed up too. He didn't just, he wasn't just this church kid. He actually had went through some stuff. He actually felt like giving up. I pray that this video encourages those who was meant to be encouraged. So thank you.